Hey gang, Devall here with an all-new review for ToyWorldOrder.com. Now a few months ago, I gave you a look at the first wave of Marvel Legends Iron Man figures from Hasbro. And today, I wrap up what we started and give you a look at the last 3 figures and the completed Ironmonger figure. The packaging for these figures is well done, and just like the previous release, they feature great graphics on the front, with the Iron Man logo and the Avengers Initiative logo across the top, a large window which takes up almost the entire card but allows you to see the figures and the Build-A-Figure piece within, and the Marvel Legends logo across the bottom of the window. The back features a picture of the figures within, a one-sentence hype for the character, some classic Marvel Comics art, and the lineup of figures and the Build-A-Figure available with this set. Okay, let's get to the real meat here, which is the figures, and I see no one better to start with than the must-have villain in this wave, Ultron. Ultron is just a really well done figure, and while he's mostly all one color, save for the eyes and mouth, you can tell that Hasbro's really stepped up their game when delivering Legends figures to us, the collectors. The detail in his sculpt and the paint application is solid and looks amazing. Ultron figures a ball-jointed head, articulation at the shoulders, swivel biceps, double-jointed elbows, swivel wrist, hands, ab crunch, turning waist, hip joint, swiveling upper leg, double-jointed knees, and a swiveling and posable ankle joint. Like I said, this is a really great figure, and thanks to the amount of articulation he has, you can get him in some amazing poses. Ultron also comes packaged with the head of Ironmonger, and it's well done, but don't worry, we'll get to him shortly. Next up is the great Iron Man Mark 42 armor, as seen in this summer's hit film, Iron Man 3. The figure himself is another great example of Hasbro really stepping up their game. The details, sculpting, and paint applications on this figure really shine. The Mark 42 features articulation at the head and neck, which almost ratchet into place when you move them, shoulders, a swivel bicep, double-jointed elbows, a wrist, a ratchety midsection which basically combines the ab crunch and waist articulation together in one, hips, swivel upper leg, double-jointed knees, and finally he has some great articulation at the foot, with the foot having the normal articulation, but instead of it being attached at the ankle, it's assembled in such a way that it allows the foot to swivel out and about. It's very cool. Now Mark 42 here, while he does have some great articulation, because they sacrifice some joints in order to accurately portray the movie armor, he does have some limits, but you can still manage to get him into some great poses. Mark 42 is a good figure, but not necessarily the weakest in this assortment in my opinion. He's also packaged with the right arm of Ironmonger. Next is Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodes in the Iron Patriot armor from Iron Man 3. Now out of the package, he is again a stunning example of just how to do Marvel Legends the right way. He really is simply amazing. From the sculpt to the paint they've used, he shines, and I mean shines. Now this figure's a bit different than the rest, as he comes with his shoulder-mounted cannon, which actually does have some articulation to it, allowing it to swivel and move rather freely. The other thing here is he has 2 holes on his back, which allow you to plug the gun into whichever shoulder you'd like. His articulation here is what, in my opinion, makes him the best looking but really the weakest figure in this assortment. He has articulation at the head and neck, ratcheting shoulders, double jointed elbows, swivel bicep, wrist, a midsection that moves just like the Mark 42, hips, swivel upper leg, double jointed knees, and kind of at the ankles. Because of his armor, where the calves section comes down over the feet, it doesn't allow for hardly any movement. Now, the feet here are pretty much stuck in one position, which doesn't allow you much in the area of posing, because if he can't move his feet, then why try to put him in dynamic poses? He's just going to fall. It's that issue which really does make him, in my opinion, the weakest figure in this assortment. But I at least got him in a couple of poses. And finally, we get to see Ironmonger all completed. Now first, the head pops onto the body with a little pressure and force. And next, the left and right arms simply plug into the sockets at his shoulders. And once together, he's a really well done Build-A-Figure. And although I for one miss the massive Build-A-Figures of the past, standing him next to one of the figures from this wave does show off that he is quite a bit larger. His articulation here is on par with most of the other figures in this line. The loss of some articulation here isn't really a bad thing, as you can get him in some imposing poses. You can even recreate the poses from the cover of Iron Man 200, which this version of Ironmonger is seen battling the Silver Centurion armor, which I didn't have the Silver Centurion armor, so just look at that one and use your imagination. All in all, this second wave of figures is pretty solid. Of course, if you're trying to complete Ironmonger, then you really need all three. But if you're cherry picking, find Ultron first, as he's a must-have, and then grab Mark 42. Again, I'm not entirely happy with Iron Patriot, but that's just old Devall. Now, you can find these guys in most major online and box retailers currently, so head out and grab these guys today. A special thanks goes to Dave Draper for supplying the figures and the comic used in this review. And until next time, gang, keep playing with your toys.